Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and this is Elite Dangerous. I have just arrived at the VO-Dock, or VO-Dock as it's perhaps called, in LHS 142 system, and this is pretty much a spectacular environment. We got some very gorgeous sunlight here, as you can see reflected off the station itself, which is orbiting pretty close to the planet here. But not only that, the station itself is just 9 light seconds away from binary stars, which gives it a lovely sunsets and sunrises here. So it's a place I'm planning to stay for a very short while, or maybe a medium term while as it were, as I rebuild my resources in order to plan for the next excursion perhaps. Now this will mean a slightly different outfitting for this ship. I can use it both for combat and for trading. It does have 6 hardpoints on it, so it should be a good combat ship, and as we've seen before, I have used it for trading and it holds huge volumes of storage. One thing I have done, this is at Widesport, another station in, or an outpost here in the same system, and that was fit my paint job, which I didn't have on an asp as yet, and I've gone with this lovely white colour, which I think is brilliant. It may just be me, but personally I feel it gives the ship a slightly Millennium Falcon vibe. And as you can see, I've also got my decals applied. I've got the Explorers one there and my 2 Kickstarter, or my single Kickstarter decals applied on the side. And these decals here, these are the ones for the rankings you've achieved through the game, and the one I'm using is the highest ranking I've got, which of course is for exploring. And I'm going to leave the Kickstarter ones on the side there, which look a lot like the Lego logo, don't they? The ones on the fronts of the little space guys, the 1980s something space guys that also features in the Lego movie. Now patch 1.2 has also brought with it another nice touch, and previously, regardless of paint jobs, you could not see that paint job when inside the ship. You'd always have the default skin, but as you can see now, the paint jobs actually show up when you're inside your cockpit, which is about time. And this is a massive boon for those with an Oculus Rift, because pretty much you can see, you always had the default skin regardless of what you'd purchased. And this is the external camera. Let's get a bit of a closer look at my asp as it's currently set up. And I love the ship, it's brilliant. Looking forward to a future date perhaps when we can name our ships so we can personalise them that little bit more and they literally feel like our own. And I didn't realise that the asp had such a tight fit in this hangar here. Look how close it is to the pipes at the top there. Now this is Widesport, and these outposts do actually look quite larger in fact than you may first realise. Once you start using this third person camera, you can really notice their scale. So one place I always see people head towards when they want to do a little bit of combat is the nav beacons, and I haven't done too much combat on this series so far, and don't worry, it's not something I plan on doing too much of, but I'm going to get a little bit into it here and now. Now I would love to test out the combat on a NPC Anaconda, but this one is clean, so that's not going to happen. I've currently got 3 pulse lasers fitted to the ship and 3 multi-cannons with an A-rated class 6 shield, as well as some pretty good power plants and power distributor, which should allow me to more or less fire my weapons constantly. Now it looks like there's a little bit of an event going on up here, and I'm going to join the fray, so I'm going to deploy my hard points and see what's going on. And it's an asp, so a little bit bigger than just fighting a sidewinder here. Let's try and catch up with him and we'll blast him. He hasn't got any shields. No, he either probably didn't have any shields to start with, or these other guys have taken his shields down. And you can see I've got the pulse lasers firing there and the multi-cannons, which ripping into him like nobody's business, cutting right through him. He's a bit too busy focusing on the other guys here, so it's a little bit of an unfair fight, and I feel a little bit sorry for him and a little bit mean to be attacking in this way, but that seems to be the way it is in these areas. And that's that. 17,000 credits bounty. So apparently the bounty rewards have increased a little bit in patch 1.2, and the cost of ammunition and repairs has fallen quite dramatically, so bounty hunting and fighting like this is now very much a viable source of income, at least if you want to keep at it and spend quite a lot of time doing it. So there's a clean Cobra. We'll leave him alone. I haven't got a warrant scanner fitted to my ship, so I'll just have to let them go when it says clean. I'm not planning on doing any full-scale bounty hunting just yet. Let's see if we can find another ship around here. Now, one bit of a small issue I do have personally with the nav beacon areas is they're not that much of a good source for constant combat, and I appreciate that's probably not their intention right from the start, and there are other places that are a little bit better, like the resource extraction sites, and unfortunately there's not one of those in this system, and I haven't yet had a chance to search out in the immediate vicinity of systems to locate one of those. Another place of good combat would be the conflict zones, but those are far and few between, and not something I've been able to locate anywhere. And I can't really see any way of actually locating them aside from going to the community boards and the forums. But if anyone else does know how to find a conflict zone in your immediate vicinity without having to travel hundreds and hundreds of light years, I'd be very much interested in hearing about that and how I could go about locating those. I have actually heard some rumours that in a future version of Elite, Frontier are planning on introducing an arena mode to the game, which would pretty much allow players to jump in and out of PvP combat at the drop of a hat. And I'd be very much interested to see what sort of repercussions that would have on the overall galaxy. Would it draw players away from combating in the galaxy? Will it have any effect on the supposed living, breathing, dynamic galaxy that Frontier is slowly working towards? After all, I'm looking forward to a world where PvP has very much meaningful consequences, not so much on the player themselves, but on the galaxy. And there's always the risk that an arena mode could possibly, maybe, draw people away from working in that. But back to the here and now, and the bounties do certainly seem to have increased quite a bit. That was 20,000 back there just for a Cobra. Let's see what we get for the Sidewinder. Probably not as much as 20,000, but hopefully significantly more than what it used to be. 2,000. Okay, that's about the same. Well, let's move on then. So back to Vodoc, or Vodoc. Vodoc. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Vodoc, I think. Kind of can see why Frontier would have chosen that particular combination of names. I know that the words here, station names, are all procedurally generated, and there's been quite some interesting and funny combinations over time. Now, one of the things is that has been a constant... Oh dear. Slow down. I've got to back out, and I forgot to ask for docking permission there. Not paying full attention to what's going on. Yes, I know I've got a trespass warning, and I've got a fine there. Now, that's nearly always the best way to deal with it. I've seen some people try and do a 180 and come back out frontwards, but as long as you go in a straight line, just reverse. It's much easier to get out, and you're not going to turn any of the larger ships a full 180 and come back out in the time that they actually give you to get out, and that will pretty much result in you getting blasted into oblivion. So I'm just going to wait for my penalty here to time out, and then get the docking permission again and try and get in this time without messing things up. So yes, as I was saying, pretty much one of the most consistent sources of income for me, and probably for many other people, has been trading. And I'm keen to see how trading now works in patch 1.2. Have things been changed, and how far am I going to need to travel to find a decent trade route? Fortunately, my Asper's got an A-rated jump drive, and even under full load can probably jump at least 25 light years, so trading shouldn't be too much of a problem, even if I did have to go as far as 100 light years, although I suspect I can find a decent trade route much closer than that. Landing gear helps. Come on, get with it. Yeah, it should have been deployed right from the start there. So I'm going to need to get rid of some of the combat modules I've got fitted to the ship and attach some cargo modules. The ASP can have a singular 64 unit cargo rack, and I think a 32 unit one as well. So with a few other smaller ones I should be able to get around about 100 units of cargo, and I know I've got up to around 128 or maybe 132 units before, but I did have to forego a shield in order to do that, and I really don't want to do that this time. It's not the ideal way of flying around. I tend to prefer a shield, especially when you've got this amount of cash wrapped up in what you're doing. So I probably will need to sell the shield though initially, because it is a class 6 shield and I want a class 6 cargo rack instead. And what I'll then do is fit a class 3 shield, which will afford me a little bit of protection, if not that much. So there we go with the 32 unit cargo rack, and in here we'll put the 64 unit cargo rack if they have one, and good, they do have one. Fairly expensive, but my shield was a lot more expensive, so I'm actually in the plus in terms of credits. And we'll just keep going like that until we reach around about 100 units of cargo. I don't suppose I really need a detailed surface scanner. Do I want a fuel scoop? Well, I don't know just yet, because I don't know how far the trade route's gonna be, but I'd imagine I could probably get away without a fuel scoop when trading. I don't usually use one. Fuel isn't all that expensive when you're considering you can make around about anywhere between 100,000 and 200,000 credits per run. A few thousand out of that profit on fuel is next to nothing, and can actually be made up with the 4 or so cargo rack units you'll afford without a fuel scoop. You'll gain without a fuel scoop, should I say. So it's looking like I've got a reasonable amount of capital to actually work with here, and that is in large part due to the exploration funds I received after coming back from my extensive excursion out into deep space. I actually went out there with a little over 1.5 million or so, and come back and made close to 5 million for that trip, which is by no means a huge amount. I've seen people make a lot more. One of the more recent ones I see someone made around about 100 million, but they must have been out there for weeks and scanning pretty much everything that could possibly be scanned. So let's pay off the fines I've got. I don't want to be shot, and claim any bounties I can claim, and then we can look for a commodity market. Sorry for the slight cut there. There was a bit of a problem where I crashed back to the main menu. So I'm now looking for a item to trade, and it seems that this can be the one. It says there that this is exported to a nearby system, which in fact I can do in just a singular jump. But I'm wondering if I can possibly get away with carrying just a little bit more. Is there anything else I can sell off here? I want to keep the advanced discovery scanner, because you never know what you're jumping into. But seeing as this trip is only a single jump, I can definitely afford to get rid of the fuel scoop. So we want a cargo rack in there. Let's order these by name. There we go. That gives me a little bit more there, and nope, we want to keep that. We're going to get rid of this one. That's it. So quite a bit more units of cargo there, which of course translates directly to profit, which is never a bad thing. So once we've purchased these, we can travel off to our destination. So a little bit more beryllium there. 116 units all told. Hopefully that translates to quite a good profit. I don't know how much profit I'm going to make. I actually haven't been to the location I'm about to go to, but the quantity market says that that system imports that goods, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, as always, I cut out the extensive travelling here. Even though it's a singular jump, you do have the super cruise in between, and that greatly adds to the length of these videos, and probably end up being an hour or two long. So of course it's much better if you just watch the interesting parts. So I'm now here at the destination in LTT 377, which is a neighbouring system just 18 light years away from my previous location, Zoling Port. Hopefully the station that is going to buy the beryllium from me. But the question is, although they hopefully do import this good, the commodity market says they import these goods, the big question is, how much are they going to pay for it, and what sort of profit am I going to get? And that's a pretty good profit, isn't it? 140,000 credit profit. I don't mind that just for a few minutes of travel. So what are we going to take back to LHS 142? Over the on the right there we can see a description of the systems that import any particular goods. So I'm going to look at the most expensive goods here that are exported to the system I've just come from, and then I've got pretty much a round trip to make money on. So it looks like they import resonating separators. Yeah, exported too. They're not too expensive in the sense that I've got plenty of capital to afford them, but they may not necessarily be the most profitable. Perhaps I should have a look at what other things they buy here, look at the more expensive products again. It's a little bit of a shame really, because I'd like to also be able to trade the smaller goods here. Maybe the lower priced goods could be of a lower weight, meaning we could carry more of them, which would give us more choice in things to trade, because of course I'm pretty sure no one ever trades in the units that, in the commodities that are just like 10 or 20 or 30 credits worth of value. So I've sold back a few resonating separators, and I'm going to purchase some performance enhancers, and that way I'll be able to do a comparison on which is the most profitable. Might also be worth buying a little bit of gold perhaps. Let's sell off a couple more resonating separators here, and we'll buy something else. Let's see, gold maybe, or yep, consumer technology is also a good bet by the looks of it. We'll go with that. So let's go back to VODoc and sell off these goods, and if that turns out to be quite profitable, then I will have a pretty good trade run. That's only a few light years away. That can actually be done in a single jump. LHS 142, here I come. Well, let's get going. Now, of course, as it currently stands, the Asp is the best exploration ship, and as you saw earlier on, it's a pretty good combat ship as well. I do want to try this out in some extraction sites, and if I get the chance, I'll try it out in a conflict zone as well. And maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll get involved in a little bit of PvP if someone tries to interdict me. Other than that, it's possible I may save. I'm gonna miss this, aren't I? I'm gonna miss the hatch. Oh, ouch. Well, it was lucky I bought those shields, wasn't it? There was quite a lot of damage. Oh, clipping the bottom as well. Crikey, I'm being a bit of an arse today, aren't I? That could have left me quite a significant of money down the drain, couldn't it? Considering the rebuy cost and the lost value of the cargo. But never mind, all is good. So back at VODoc, let's see how much profit we make on those items. And which of these is going to be the most profitable is my question. So not a bad profit on that, by no means the best though. Let's see what the resonating separators go for. And it looks like those are the ones that are the candidates that I will have to use. So that's my trade route set up then. I'm going to be doing that for a few times and see if I can't earn myself a few million. I think for now though, that pretty much fulfills this episode. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time. This has been Obsidian Ant, signing off.